completely unregulated part of education, which really allows excellence to flourish. What is it that makes that happen? And it's what I call the 5.5 words that have made America great. And it's those 5.5 words have given us everything. And they've given us, they've given us the best TVs in the world. They've given us the best computers in the world. I mean, Intel and AMD are both American companies. They've given us restaurant choices that, 50 years ago, only kings could have possibly dreamt of having, who could have thought that you could have Thai food and French food and Vietnamese food and all this, all in the same, and what are those, and so to me, what are those 5.5 words? The first one is, I'll take my business elsewhere. And what does that mean? It means that if you don't like a product, you can buy another product. And that makes everybody not just give, 60%, because if you want people to give 60%, just pass a law and they'll do it. Or 70%, it makes them give 100% or 110% because they know they have to be as good as they can, because if they're not, somebody else will be.
But that's the capitalist system.
That is the competition, and that is what has given us everything. And the thing that, and even in education for that matter, if you look at our universities, they're the best in the world. And if you look at our public high schools, they're not the best in the world. I mean, there's something that's happening between June and September that is so powerful, and that's 3 months. How are we going from close to the bottom internationally to the #1 international school system? I mean, what's happening in 3 months? And it's colleges have to compete with other colleges. That's what it is. If you don't run a good college, people just go somewhere else. But if you don't run a good public high school in Maryland, people can't go somewhere else unless they're very wealthy. I mean, there's nowhere for them to go.
So what's that bill is going to look like? What are
there's a few different ways you can do this. I mean, one of the most basic first steps that we have to do is we've got to change the regulations for the charter schools. Right now, Maryland has some of the worst charter school laws in the country, the most restrictive. If we had charter school laws similar to what they have in New York, that would be a huge step in the right direction, just right away. And it's a fairly simple set of adjustments, and it's something that we know works because we've seen it happen in New York. I mean, we've seen it work, so we know it can work. And that to me is an absolute first step. In the larger term, though, there's something else that I think we should have, and there's something called a voucher. And what a voucher is it says that no matter how rich or poor you are, we're going to give you a certain amount of money, a fixed amount. That's going to be attached to your child, and your child can take that money to any school. And if let's say that charter is $7,500, he can use that to go to private school or to a public school or to a charter school. He now has a choice. So what happens now? Everybody has to compete. They have to give 110% of what they can do. They have to give the best product they can possibly do. They have to innovate. They have to come up with new ideas. They have to provide excellent teaching. They have to do everything they possibly can. And that's what you've already seen in the private education market. You've already seen in the college market. It works. And I think we now need to see it in the K through 12 market. I mean, there's no reason that 95% of students should not have access to that kind of education, which is what we have right now.
But that's so idealistic.
Sure.
In the real world, the first thing you will come across are the unions. They're going to chop you down. How are you going to talk to them to accept you?
There's 2 parts of a union, right? There's the people in the union, and those people are teachers. And, one thing that I know about teachers, being a teacher myself, having met, I don't know how many hundreds of teachers, over the course of my life, and certainly during this campaign, is that teachers want to be able to teach. That's why they became teachers. Nobody becomes a teacher just for the paycheck. Maybe a few people do, but that is, that's like a very tiny minority that occasionally gets an undue amount of emphasis in the press. People who are teachers, they want to teach. And the first thing that you have to do is you have to let them teach. Because right now, the public school regulations are so restrictive that even a brilliant teacher who wants to innovate legally cannot. Or a brilliant administrator who wants to have a more flexible policy or merit-based pay or anything like that, legally they cannot. So am I going to be going directly to the union leaders? Realistically, that's probably a waste of time. But the teachers that fill those unions, those are people that I think in many ways have already been very responsive to this message. And I think as it becomes more and more practical, are going to become increasingly responsive. I mean, it's not like there's no voucher schools anywhere in the world. I mean, Belgium has a voucher school system. It's one of the most successful in the entire world. So it's not that it's something that's never been done before. It's been done, and it has worked.
But in Montgomery County, it's the best school system, best educational system.
Yeah, but the idea that people in Montgomery County don't care about Baltimore is just wrong. I mean, people in Montgomery County do care about that. And when they see those kids in those Baltimore schools that are just not getting an education that's going to allow them to compete internationally or locally for that matter, they view that as a problem. And that's not something that they take lightly.
It's so good to see that you not only care about your district, but your whole state. And I want to wish you the best of luck. But But before I let you go, I give you an opportunity. That's your camera. Go ahead, tell the voters why should they vote for you.
Okay, my main stance is education. And what I want is competition in education. Not between students, but between schools. And the same competition that's given you the best computer chips and everything else in the world can give you the best schools in the world throughout all of Maryland and then throughout all of America.
And I congratulate you for willing to serve, and I want to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
We shall be right back.